This conference will
Now,
now be recorded.
okay. Now, so apart from the HVAC, again, service water, pumping, and renewable energies are also prescribed in the Kerala ECBC rules, year 2017, along with lighting requirements, that is exterior, interior, and controls, and also electrical power. So similar to what we saw, the main scope of ECBC is the Kerala ECBC Rules 2017 is also aligned to that in terms of its scope and in terms of the aspects for of which the minimum requirements are prescribed in the Kerala state ECBC rules. Now, uh, here we have taken out certain extracts from the KMBR, that is the Municipal Building Regulations 2019, to show how the ECBC aspects has been incorporated in the municipal building rules in 2019. So as you can see here, now on the left hand side, what you see is a snapshot of from the regulation. I believe this has been shared here with you. Now here, so here what you can see that in terms of applicability, so drawings, permits, and occupancy under Rule 5, application of building permits, sub Rule 5.1. Under this, just like ECBC, the scope of the Kerala state ECBC means that you have to have a connected load of 100 kilowatt or greater, or a contract demand of 120 kVA or greater, or having air conditioned area of 500 square meter or greater. So apart from these two requirements, a separate requirement is there under the KMBR that said that if your air conditioning space exceeds by 500 km or greater, requires compliance of the provision of the Kerala State Energy Conservation Building Code. So that means it's not just these two. There is an additional requirement that if you have air conditioned space above 500 square meter also, you will fall within the applicability of the Kerala state ECBC code, right? And then just like we had building classifications in the ECBC, in the Kerala state ECBC code, these are certain building classifications that are there, which is lodging, house and special residential, education, medical and hospital, assembly, offices, businesses, and then mercantile or commercial and storage spaces. So these are the various classifications under which you can place your building typology as. All right. Any questions up to now? Anyone? Okay, there is a question that says any one of the three conditions required. Yes. So if you have one of either three, you have to apply it. So you will be applying. So KEC. So if you meet any one of the requirements, the Kerala state ECBC code will be applicable. If you meet two, it will still be applicable. It is just a yes or no. It's not that if you meet two or three conditions that more things will be applicable. The entire code will be applicable if you meet any one of the three. Okay. Yeah. So now we just quickly see what else is included in the KMBR. I mean, that is related to KECBC. So here, as you can see in the same chapter, Rule 17, Sub 9 rule, this prescribes the responsibilities of the owner, right? So it says that the owner of the ECBC compliant building. So if your building meets any of the three requirements, you are so ECBBC will be applicable, right? So then if you are the owner of that building that meets the criteria, shall have full obligation and responsibility of carrying out the work on the commissioning of the said building in accordance with the requirements of the Kerala State ECBC code. Every owner shall select the certified energy auditor uh, who is a registered a Bureau of Energy Efficiency, who is a registered or well auditor with the Bureau of Energy Efficiency for building compliance checks to be submitted to the state designated agency or the local self-government, right? And that person has now the owner can also take ye guidance from such a professional, right, who is a certified energy auditor in terms of to develop the building design. So if I am a building owner, what I would ideally do, there is another question. Manu says, how can the official in local government identify the connected load and the contract demand, whether it is it's required KCBC compliant? So are you saying that how they will know that if a building is a KECBC compliance, right? Is that your question?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, please.
My name is Manu Mohan and I am a building energy efficiency expert. So my question is that how can an official from the local government, which is Grama Panchayat or municipality, official can identify that this building which is submitted to them is having a connected load more than 100 kilowatt or having a contract demand more than 120 kilowatt hour and all these things is because unless they did not identify such things, they cannot means they cannot ask the owner to go for the KCCBC compliance system.
Yes, that is a valid point, and thank you for your questions. But I think yes. So let me bring this up. So I think this. You have to declare when you're applying for the. I think in the amendments. Yeah, I think in the amendments. If you can see my screen, when you're applying for the building approval, right, and for the permission to execute the work. So this has to be provided before starting any work, I do believe. So in this form, you have to declare here. As you can see here, there's a yes. Here is the where it asks, right? This is the checklist. Okay, that says connected load in kilowatt for building compliant under the Rule 2.1 and 2.2 of KSECBC Rules 2017. So this is where you have to declare, right?
Can I add something more?
Yep, sure.
Unfortunately, for building permit applications here in Kerala, using online application system, which is called the Sankedam for Grama Panchayats, and recently using IBPMS system for municipalities. And unfortunately, in both the online programs, there is no such a point, which is point number 13 is not at all inserted in online submission program. So that they are not unable to do, I mean, from the engineering side also, we are unable to do this part.
Hello,
Okay.
sir. May I add
Sure.
to the point? Shiny Sam.
Sure.
I'm a member of the EEB cell. Dear Mr. Manu Mohan, currently the situation is such that the enforcement activities are actively being pursued by a energy management center, which includes one. We have requested the LSTD department to include include this particular point wherein the applicant the licensed engineer, basically, he has the declaration where he'll declare if his building is 100 kilowatt or 120 kVA, or if it is 500 m square. And as you can see in the appendix, in the application form itself, there is only 100 kilowatt, but we have requested for a change of that as well, including all three valid points, that is 100 kilowatt, 120 kVA, and 500 meter square conditioned area. This is the request that has been sent to the LSTD government, which will be almost immediately effected into the IBPMS online system, the Sangeetham system, and in the Calicut Suvega system. All three online application systems that is existent in Kerala will include these three clauses, plus the corrections will be effected into the KMBR as well. This is the first point. Second point, regarding if the official in local government will identify whether the building is having a connected load of 100 kilowatt or more, or 120 kVA or more, or 500 meter square conditioned area or more, this will not be identified at the local government level at the point of application. But during completion point, we have again the enforcement activities include, wherein the electrical inspectorate will be checking the connected load and all these two parameters, that is the 120 kVA and the 100 kilowatt. This will be checked and verified by the electrical inspectorate, wherein unless they give the completion certificate where they accept the SLD provided at the electrical inspectorate, the completion certificate will not be issued by the local government. This is how the enforcement is coming into effect. Thank you.
Actually, hello, am I audible?
Yes. Yes.
If we are checking the compliance after construction, then what is the point of ECBC? Because the ECBC intends to mandate energy performance evaluation prior to construction. And once the building is constructed, then making a compliance it's a hugely costly affair. What is the purpose of having the code?
May I intervene? Sir, may I intervene?
Yeah, sure. Please go
ahead. As I understand, most of the attendees of this meeting or this webinar are licensed engineers as per the KMBR and KPBR. So, as you all know, all the rules pertaining to KMBR and KPBR are to be followed. That is the implication that that is a licensed engineer has to do. You have to follow these rules. So whatever happens afterwards is only a checkpoint where completion certificate is issued to the building. If the completion certificate has to be issued, these conditions have to be met. So that is the checkpoint. Initial point where you have to do it is the implication of the licensed engineer or as per the KMBR and the KCCBC. Thank you.
And also apart from this, you also have certain obligation on your part before the construction starts and during the construction. Right. So there are appendices and your forms and your declarations that you have to give at the start also. So that we will come. But yes, if you have any follow-up questions on this, yes, please go ahead.
Sir, there is a problem in previous months. I think we had some experiences. Town planning department and LSTD are giving conditional approval. They are simply mentioning in the approval that should be compliant with KCB. So the client will start the work immediately, and they will not go for such kind of compliance procedure because it requires some cost implication. How a licensed engineer will take responsibility on this against completion? That is our question, because LSTD is not in the picture. The routing procedure has to be strictly followed. That has to be published in the KMBR. We have protocol on pollution control board approvals, and we have protocols on fire approvals. We don't have any protocol for such KCCB supply. That has to be done.
After the implementation of one more thing, Shani ma'am, after the implementation of KPBR and KMBR 2019, approximate 1,000 buildings all over Kerala is actually giving permitted having the eligibility of KSCCBC? Do you know, and how many buildings are required? I mean, go for the KSCCBC compliances so far. Very less in quantity, as Mr. Jithin Sudhakrishnan says. Some building permits, which is given layout approval from the DTPs, and even from CTPs, they have given instructions to the local authority secretaries, municipal secretaries, and Gram Panchayat secretaries to ensure that these buildings are to be given permit only with the KSCCBC compliances. But the local body government secretaries, what they are giving is, they are giving approval with the KA, KB, KC, KD appendixes only with that, and there is no any compliances check. I mean, activities are happening, and after completion of these kinds of buildings, and obviously the owners, what they are looking for is that they have to complete the building in minimum cost. Maybe they will doubt that we will go for some other activities. It will make more expenditure, so that they will trying to bypass the process. In every case, they are trying to bypass the process, and so that there are huge number of. Even I know that yesterday, 2 days before, from a local body, they have given an auditorium building having 300 square meters of air-conditioned floor, air-conditioned area, without any KSCBC or any compliances check. I'm sure, I know that. But the local, maybe some local body people are listening to me. They also don't know that how they have to handle rule number 5, sub rule number 5, rule 7. They don't know how to handle these things. This is the main scenario regarding KSCBC right now here in Kerala.
Actually, one more doubt. KPBR rules that we have, that was collected last year from EMC also, does not show the appendix A1A, which you now I understand that which that appendix is supposed to collect the data on the check items for the ECBC. So, what is the status of implementation? Where is it available?
Shanim, if you can,
yeah,
I think you can take that.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Thompson from EMC. So we can understand that there are like all LSTD departments are yet to like they are not well versed with the KCCB's rules and KMBR and KPBR. So what we have done is we have already sent letters to LSTD, Urban Affairs Department, and Director of Panchayats, as well as we have already prepared a ECBC poster. So what is the procedure or what all needs to be followed while doing a construction? All that has been prepared, and it will be sent by this week. So we are sending letters, posters, and a procedure to for the KCCBC complaints to every panchayat and municipality as well as corporation. So we are actually sending letters to almost 1,040 panchayats, municipalities, and corporations. So after that, I think they will be knowing well with they will be well with this ECBC rules. What are the provisions that is there in the KMBR and KPBR and everything related to KSCCBC. So everything will be sent by this week. Earlier we have already communicated the same through to the head of their departments, like the Director of Panchayats as well as the Director of Municipal, Director of Urban Affairs as well as LSTD department. So things are happening, and we can wait and see what are the changes happening. Okay, so the implementation is happening in the LSTD level only, and it's there in the KMBR and KPBR as well as there are rules for that. So we are actually making them aware of the ECBC rules and its provisions in KMBR.
Actually, our question is, like Manu pointed out earlier, when we check with the LSTD, even if they are made aware of this, they do not know what is the connected load or what is the air-conditioned area. And now I understand right just before appendix A1A was shown, but I find that that is not part of the original, not original, the revised rules of 2019. So my question is that is the new appendix already notified, like a amendment to the 2019 rule? Is it already notified and implemented, or is it in the process?
Amendment is already there. No, it's already notified. This document is already there.
You mean to say the appendix A1A is already notified?
Yes, this one is already there. It's there in the, I think, last June 2021 only this one came. This notification
This
came.
has come. Okay, okay. Maybe the copy that was issued with to us last year, we collected from EMC, was issued maybe before that, before June. So
this
right
is-
now, is it possible to share this document?
Yeah, we will share that.
After the funding,
Not the participants. It's there in the
Professor,
LSD.
You can unmute yourself and ask any questions during this meeting as well. So again, so from the last slide, we can, I think from here, as you were saying, that the entire procedure of applying for this compliance has to be done at 3 stages. One is at the initiation of the construction, one is during the construction, and at the time of occupancy and after occupancy. I think these are the 3 stages where you have to be active in terms of ECBC compliance rules and regulations. So as you can see, at the initiation of the construction, application for building permits subjected to local bodies. So there is an appendix G, and there's an appendix KA, KB, and KC, and then all these 3. So let me bring this up. So as you can see in the, oops, sorry. I'll remove KMBC, KB. Sorry. Yeah. So I think this is the appendix G that we have to submit at the initiation of the construction, where you add project details, compliance option, whether you want to do go for prescriptive, envelope trade-off, or a system analysis. By system analysis, it is the whole building simulation, and then what type of building it is. And these various details you will have to check and fill at the start of the construction, and this entire appendix G, along with the mandatory provisions, you have to tick yes, no, not applicable, that ways. I think that is a question. Request to share updates on building rules after 2019. Yes, sure. So the updates and the amendments, they will be shared here with you, as Mr. Thompson said. So again, this appendix G, this has to be, so this is there at the end of the KECBC rules. You can fill this. And then this has a checklist form in terms of the mandatory provisions. So say you have to comply with the mandatory provisions, so you write, so all the mandatory provisions will have to be ticked at yes. If you are not going by the prescriptive, then you have to write not applicable, right? And then if you are going by the prescriptive and you do not meet, say opaque wall or something, then you write no, and then in this you provide the calculation as per the building trade-off option, and then again you provide your mechanical details, right? The cooling equipment schedule, the equipment number, brand, model, capacity, and all the and the COPs, and the efficiency your figures. Same for the heating equipment, then fan equipments. And again, just like you had one checklist up here that was for the building envelope, you do the same for the mechanical checklist. Again, all the mandatory provisions have to be met. They have to be yes, nothing can be no here. And then again, in the prescriptive option is this can be not applicable if you're going by the whole building simulation method, right? And similar is to the hot water and your pumping. These are the mandatory requirements, and you have to and nothing can be no under this. Similarly, you have another section for the lighting summary, and similar, your no mandatory requirements can be no. Again, not applicable for prescriptive. If you're going if you're not if you're going for the prescriptive, you it has to be yes. And then again, building department notes, I think this has to be written you filled up by the officials. And similarly, this entire form, Appendix G, has to go as part of at the initial stage, and this has to be submitted to the local body for those buildings that fall under the purview of KAS ECBC. That means, again, the buildings that meet those three requirements: 500 meter of your AC space, 100 kilowatt of a connected load, or 120 kVA of contracted demand. There is a question here that says, in which ECBC code is the example for calculation of trade-off given? It is not. It is given in the ECBC 2017. I think it was. If you can check page 71, I think that is what I showed. If you want, I just removed it. Let me see if I can get that back for you. There is a that should be there in the ECBC 2017 one. So for you, let me open this one again. Then let me see. Yep. See page 71. It's the application of the building envelope trade-off. So you can refer to this one. It gives the example of calculating the building envelope trade-off. Anyways, so you're welcome. Yes. So along with this Appendix G, and then this document as well, with certification from the licensed engineer or a BE certified engineer, and along with it, approval forms for KSECBC Appendix KA, B and C. So let's have a look at the appendices that we are talking about. I think it is there in this presentation. Okay, this is Appendix G, as you can see. This is Appendix KA from the KMPR application seeking, so application for seeking building permit in respect of erection or re-erection or seeking alteration to KSECBC compliant building. So, this has to be filled, and you provided to the relevant local bodies here during prior to the initiation of the construction. Similarly, again, along with Appendix KA, Appendix KB has to be given, and this is an undertaking by the owner for construction of KSECBC compliant building. So, I believe during the discussion that we were having a few moments ago, this is a declaration from the owner that has to be signed, right? So while so prior to the starting of the building, so this has to be there. And of course, as somebody raised that there should be a compliance check at the end, but I mean, this is a declaration that should be given upstart. So that means the owner owner is well aware from the start that what he or she is up to, right? So I think based on these applications are there. Now, I totally agree. I mean, there are certain challenges that that you have faced during this process, but I believe, as Mr. Thompson said, that they are arranging or they are in process of arranging similar training sessions for the local governance bodies also, so that they are aware of what to check, what is there. So yeah, I think that is also a part of the development process, but these are in a process, and that is the important thing right now. So again, this is another certificate from the KSECBC licensed engineer or a BEE certified energy auditor. That that person has to give this form also at the starting prior to the construction of the project. Now, where this has to be submitted, this is this the place. So all applicants shall simultaneously submit the documents that was shown above. That means Appendix G, Appendix KA, KB, KC to the EMC as well as to the local body. Now, EMC will go through these regulations that you say, these documents that you submit. That means Appendix G, KA, KB, KC, and they have to report the local bodies of any non-compliance within 30 days of the receipt of the document. Right now, as you can see here, that copy of the documents as per Appendix G schedule of shall be submitted to the local body. Copy of the building permit application form submitted to the local body. That means Appendix 1, A1A that we showed. That is a part of the amended KMPR rules notified last year in June, right? And then copies of Appendix KA, KB, KC of KMBR or KPBR submitted to the local body as well, depending on whether the region your body, your ECBC compliant body, your building is coming, whether that falls under KMBR or KPBR. This has to go to the local body. Now, KSECBC compliance report and the simulation files have also to be submitted. Right now, if the whole building performance method is followed under this. Now, the responsibilities during the construction and at the time of the construction, this that the proposed building shall be erected as KSECBC compliant. The building owners may seek the support of BEE certified energy auditors to oversee the construction, installation, materials, and equipments to meet the requirements of the Kerala ECBC code. This is a time I've been in this. So when we say monitor construction and installation of your materials, generally we all have materials. So at the procurement stage, whenever you are procuring, it is a good idea to hire a BE certified say energy auditor or energy manager or a licensed engineer to see whether the construction materials that you are that the building is installing meets the requirement of the ECBC code or not, meets so, and then this thing is even more important if you're going by the prescriptive way, because in that case you have to submit in terms of the technical details. If you are saying that I have a like an external wall section that has say 250 mm of AC block, 50 mm of XPS insulation, and another 250 mm of another AC block, then you have to have the approved drawings on your one hand, and then the technical brochure or the technical specification sheet that shows the conductance values, and then use those values in the construction to show that yes, based on these calculations, my overall U value of the overall your building envelope is coming to be this. This is the KACCVC requirement, hence I meet. So this entire process of having someone to monitor the construction, installation of your materials and and equipments, this is equally important, because I mean there were buildings where I think I had an experience. This was in a LEED certified building. When they installed it, was a LEED gold. It was a commercial interior project, and then every installation was done. But then after a year, when the client they thought of having one energy auditing done, they did that, and they found that their building was nowhere near where it should be performing. So at that time, uh, uh, a specialist, energy auditor, they performed a full inspection, and at that time they found that there were certain leaks in the ductings. The ducts were not properly air tightened, and then which were having leaks, and hence there was drop in energy efficiency. So hence constructing is as important as your designing, because your designing is everything on your paper. Construction is the actual implementation of that your design, which is intended to achieve a certain degree of efficiency, or which is intended to serve a definite role. If the construction is not proper, then and that role is not yet fulfilled, then there is no point of making those extra investment in the ducting and in those insulations, in those high performance glasses, in the insulations on roof or wall. It entirely negates, or it entirely removes all those efforts, and yet those are proper investments. I mean, it is not something that you people had to work a day extra to make that thing happen. People have invested to get those things. So hence it is good to have someone at the construction site who sees or who monitors all procurements to see whether the insulation bought meets the requirement or not, whether the AAC block meets the requirement or not, whether the glass meets the requirement or not, and any of these things. So yeah, that can be looked into while the construction. And then after the building is erected, the building owner shall submit the notice of completion, which is there as appendix KD. So what we can do, let's see, let's bring up appendix KD. Appendix KD, this is the notice of completion, right? So yeah, this has to be so yeah, this is again there in the main year 2019 year rule. Sorry, where did I go? And yes, this has to be submitted when the building is erected, that is after the construction is done, during the time of occupancy, and a copy of the same has to be submitted to the Energy Management Center, to the EMC. Then following the the occupancy, the operational, following the operation, there was a rule dated year 2011 that said that energy audit is mandatory for high tension or extra high tension and high rise buildings, and this audit shall be done periodically once in every 3 years, and a report shall be submitted to the Energy Management Center, Kerala. So that means even after occupying, every 3 years once in every 3 years, you have to undertake a energy audit, right, for your building, and this has to be submitted to the Energy Management Center. Now, the energy audit must be done in the KSECVC compliant buildings only, and the reports again has to be submitted in the same frequency, so once in every 3 years. So that is your responsibility even after the building is operational. People here who have worked on Griha projects, you must be aware that during the construction, so after just after occupancy, the Griha certification is provided, but that is not the main certification. That is the that is the provisional certificate that is provided to Griha. Right now, the final certificate of a Griha is provided after 1 year of operation of the building, when you have to do a energy audit, a water audit, a waste, uh, and I think energy, these 3 audit: energy, water, and a waste audit. You have to do these 3 kind of audits, and then based on that you get the final Griha certification. So that means if you have given full documentation and you have achieved, say, a Griha 4-star or a 5-star building, and then if you have no, Griha is not required for KACCBC. No, that is not. I'm just saying this as an example that why construction is important, right? Because in Griha, only after that energy audit is done and the final result is there, from there the EPI is calculated in terms of total energy consumed in that year divided by the flows. And then if they see that at that time the building is not performing, your rating can go down as well. So I'm just saying that Griha has this thing in their clause that they provide only provisional Griha certification once the construction is completed. Final is done based on the operation. So hence, so I was just giving you this information just to give an example of how important construction is and how Griha gives importance to construction as well and the commissioning as well. It is not required for KSECBC. KSECBC, you just have to do energy audit for once in every 3 years. And then reports to the EMC by the building authority. Again, I think these are the annual reports. So yeah, this is the format. I think this is in the appendix H that is there, where you have the building permit number, the name and contact details of the owner, address, the jurisdiction under which your building falls, typology, approvals, and all these. And then these are provided as that follow-up information. I think that is the entire process which you have to have in mind. There's a question from that only owners should submit appendix KD after construction. So BE need not check after your construction. Wait. I think that BE, I think you have to, I mean, you have to, this notice for, I think this, you have to give the notice for completion. Yes, this has to be given by the owner only, right? And as I think Thompson or Shenem said, that during the completion certificate, that thing is required. So, but then this is to be to accompany. Appendix C, yes, yes, but appendix KC is given prior to the construction. KD is after the construction, which notifies the local body that yes, the building is comply, that the building is complete. But here, if you can see in this, there is a point that said that a certificate of inspection on completion on the aforesaid building from, so you provide these details that this is there. So yeah, this you have to enclose. If you read this, so as part of the notice of completion, you have to give the details. So that check that that you are saying, it has to be attached along with this appendix KD. That that client.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, Mahesh here. I have a small query.
I think Mr. Thompson, you
you
will
can
have
just
to.
continue.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
may
I
please
think
continue.
you. No, that's all right. That's all right. I mean, but I do take. I mean, these are important feedback from people who are working on the ground. I believe so. So yes, I mean, yeah, I'm sure that you will take this back and then arrange for that meeting or the arrange for that platform to voice all their concerns. But I think there is a note from Mr. Anas as well that there should be a certificate or certification by BEEE during the final stages. This is also a valid point, because I think somebody raised it above in the chat that the appendix KD that can be filled by the owner without even asking the licensed engineer, and that can be submitted. So in that case, whether the responsibility lies with them, so I think in that case, I'm sure that these will be taken up, and that meeting will be arranged, and you can voice all your concerns, and I'm sure that these have been noted during this meeting, and this is again, I mean, this is an evolving process, and yes, improvements are being made, and then scope of improvements are always there, and it's good that the improvements are being made, these draft rules are being made available and stuff. So yes, going forward, I think we are ending into the last lap of today's session. So I'll just quickly go through the report format. This was one of the original report formats that was shared by the UNDP. At that time, we had prepared certain reports based on this format, so that you know what to be included as part of the report. So I think if you see this, uh, again, these are the various sections. So what I'll do, uh, instead of summary, I'll just directly go into the mandatory requirements. So here, I mean, just every section we go by saying that, okay, just we take every factors and then say what the requirement is, and then prove and then provide the proof, right? For example, as a mandatory requirements of ECBC, U factor shall be determined for the overall fenestration in accordance with ISO 15099, right, by an accredited independent laboratory. So just you can add the certificate from where you have got your U factor verified and things like that. And then similar is with the SHGC. So and then air leakage. So just break the report in terms of every section, and then take this individually in terms of the mandatory requirements and prescriptive requirements. So again, I mean, these are again the mandatory requirements that is there. So what I would suggest take up the KSECBC and then explain how the project or the KSECBC report has, KSECBC compliant building has met those conditions, right? Apart from the Appendix G that you already submit, apart from that, you can prepare a report that it details, okay, yes, you have done, this is how we have done, attach as much as proof as you can in terms of your specification sheet, cut sheets, section from your sanction drawings, as much as you can. So here again, the building opaque envelope. Now here this is only to be done if you're doing this on a prescriptive way, but even if you do this through the whole building performance your methodology, you need to show it anyways. So just a calculation of the opaque assemblies, wall insulation, roof assembly, give the assembly layers and the U value, and then you can attach the snapshot of the calculation also, just as provided as you have calculated as per ECBC or KSECBC in this regard. And then again, a similar section for the wall to window ratio, shading recommendations. Daylight analysis is a compulsory requirement under ECBC and KSECBC. So again, those factors, right? So here, everything should be clear in terms of how daylight factor is met, ground floor, the total floor meeting the UDI requirement. If you want to know how this is calculated, this is again given clearly in the ECBC, in the ECBC code. If you, I think it is therein. Yes, this section, manual calculation on page number 54. Even if you do not do a simulation, just do a manual calculation just like this to see how various room spaces are meeting the daylight requirement, and then account of the common areas. So that detailed exercise is given in the ECBC code section 50, page 54, right? And similarly again, so that ways you add the daylight calculation factors as well, add the percentage of above grade floor area meeting UDI requirements, and the recommended and the ECBC recommendation for the building category. Again, you go back to the code, see what is the category under KSECBC that you have to comply, and again that ways. And then glazing recommendations, you can give sections, incremental cost, but this is optional, you don't have to give it if you don't want to, because cost at times are a sensitive information, and you can choose not to give that. Similarly, for comfort system HVAC, go point by point, say that okay, these so you write your narrative, you're describing building requirements, load calculation, assumptions, and standard followed, along with description of the system design and your features. So here, if you have your chillers, so you write equipment 1, chiller 2, and then give the efficiency values. And similarly, type of for system details, you have to go for the so say if there is a VAV or a FCU or something, and then the capacity, zones it serves, area. So this format, I mean, if you follow this format, can you share this report template? Yes, I will share this with Yashini and Yerana, and they can. Okay, what is the accepted software for daylight analysis? I think there is a section under this. Let's go. I think if you lighting, let me see the section. Mhm. Wow. Uh, well, I will let you know the accepted softwares in a bit. Okay. Then moving on again, this has the controls. So your narrative on the type of controls, its specification and integration in the HVAC building design. Again, the piping and the ductwork, say the system, the pipe sizes, ECBC recommended value, R value of the insulation used, and then thickness of the insulation used. So this way, anyone who is preparing this thing is coming out very transparent, and then comparing every aspects, every mandatory requirements with the actual on-site installation. Similarly, at the end you can develop a summary for the recommendations. Now you can remove this step because this is only done at the design stage. If you are doing a final year report, so you can get rid of this section because there is no further recommendations in terms of the year design. No, this is not available online. You may try, although you may try to get one, right? You can Google to see ECVCA, but then this is one of the earlier stage reports. Again, then lighting requirement, again, method adopted, LPD of the building or space type. You have to say if you're using the space function method or the whole building, well, or the whole area method, or the building area method, not whole building, sorry, PUA. Yeah, method, and then you give that, okay, these are the spaces, these are the ECBC recommended LPDs, and then these are the LPDs that we have come up with, so that the person who is checking, they know that, okay, this is required, this is my proposed, required, proposed. If anything is above, then they might raise a flag on that. Similarly, lighting controls, add your narrative along the exterior lighting and layout design plan, recommended fixtures and its luminous flux. Similarly, exterior lighting power, again, space type, write what is required by the ECBC or KSECBC in this case, and then give the LPD that is there in your proposed case. And similarly, write a narrative on the exterior lighting control, what type of control that you have. Again, for service water heating, right, you give a calculation of the total hot water requirement, and write a narrative as in how the hot water in the building is provided, how much percentage of that is through solar, how much is through, say, a boiler, say using gas, diesel, or petrol, or is it entirely electrically, or is it electric heaters. Write your narrative and then give details of those, if it is an electric heater or a diesel boiler or anything, just give details of the system your capacity, efficiency, etc. And you can then do similarly, you can write things about the renewable energies, that is your system information narrative with type, installation, type of renewable energy, installed capacity, location with your photographs, layouts, efficiency of your system, and things like that, and then give a calculation of the annual generation capacity. There are softwares such as PVSYST that you can do, that you can use to get the details, or a RET that you can use for the solar output. At times, you can ask the solar PV vendor to provide that report. They at times they do it, so they can give you an estimate based on your location, any shading element around this, around that your solar installation. They can give you an estimate, and then you can include that calculation under this. Again, do the same for electricals, transformers. There are so see how that what KSECBC recommends, and then what is the provision, yeah, what is your actual transformer, yeah, efficiency rates, loss rates. Similarly for your motors, DG sets, check metering, power factor correction, power distribution systems, and a UPS. So all these, so just like above, you have to create a narrative or of what type of things are installed, and then show it clearly that this is what is required by ECBC or KSECBC in this case, and then this is what we have, right? So that is so that ways you can give a clear narrative. Now, if anyone is doing it through the whole building simulation, then again, give a description of the energy modeling software, building model description, right? Model details in terms of what are your assumptions in terms of LPD, equipment load, building thermal yeah, envelope calculations, all the U values of wall, roof, and vertical fenestration. So all these input data comes in, and then here you can write the zone names so that people are aware that, okay, this space, that these internal spaces are there, these are the area of that spaces, what type of space is there, conditioned or not, occupancy load, lighting load, equipment load, so that everything is clear, that that all of your assumption for every space is clear, every space type is clear. If you want to do it detail, you can do it that ways, right? And again, and then you can add the simulation output file, and then this is the result table, so that you can say that, okay, electrical energy this much, diesel energy this much, electrical this much, diesel this much, and this is your energy savings. So the energy savings is established on the year total, right? And here only you can, instead of having standard design here, you can have a section on EPI calculation, right? EPI calculation, another section on this. So let's say EPI calculation, and then clearly show what is the EPI calculated under the proposed design, what is the EPI calculated under the standard design, and at last say that EPI proposed divided by EPI baseline is less than 1. That is all you have to show, right? And then compliance forms. So all your compliance forms that you have, maybe yeah, the ECBC, the appendix G and everything, you can attach it as an appendix to this. And even after that, what you can do is attach other forms such as the projection factor calculation, the SHGC calculation. So all your calculation, all your manual calculations, you have the option of putting them in the appendices as well, if you do not do them under each section. And then again, you can give the space wise thermal output files from eQuest as appendices. If people want to check the thermal comfort, you can have that under the appendices. Although that is not required, but if you want, you can say that. You can disclose that as well. So that is the overall report structure that you can have, right? I will share this with Yerena, and I think she can then reshare this back here with you, so that you have this template for all your future reports if you have to. I think that's all from my side. If you have any questions, please, like if you have any doubt regarding the report structure or anything, please feel free to ask them.
Dear participants, do you have any queries or doubts? Then you can ask, sir.
Actually, will you be sharing this revised rules, KMBR, KBPR? Because what I find is what I have collected from EMC earlier has been updated.
Sir, regarding all the updations, firstly, it's available in the LSTD site. Second, we can forward all the documents to the registered email ID.
Yeah, that's enough.
May I know who's
Thank you.
speaking?
My name is Asim.
Okay, all right. I'll look into it. Thank you.
If there are no queries, then let's move on to vote of thanks. I invite Miss Shiny Sam, Project Engineer, EEB Cell, for the vote of thanks.
Good evening, dear all. I thank Master Trainer Arpan Pal for a detailed section on KCCBC compliance documents and taking the patience to explain all the details to all the attendees. I thank you very much for your support, sir. Thank you. I also thank all the attendees for their active involvement. Regarding your concerns on BEEE, please mail your concerns to emck@keralaenergy.gov.in. I shall put that in the chat box as well. A meeting will be arranged to address your concerns in the nearest future. Thank you, dear all. Thank you. Regarding the mail that will be sent to emck@keralaenergy.gov.in, please provide a copy to Mr. Dinesh sir as well. He's the joint director of EMC. So I'll be inputting both the email IDs in the chat. So please note it down. Thank you.
I have one doubt. Actually, now is it EEB cell or ECBC cell?
Yeah, this is EEB cell at the moment because we have the scope of the ECBC cell has been extended to star rating of buildings as well. So to be inclusive of all the requirements, the cell name has been changed to energy efficient building cell. That is EEB cell.
Okay, okay.
Thank
And
you.
you mean star rating of residential buildings under
Residential
Econivas?
and commercial buildings. Not just Econivas Samhita. BE has a set of star rating for commercial and residential buildings to improve
Okay,
energy efficiency in the already existing buildings, not the proposed
They are not
constructions.
covered under ECBC.
This is not
It does not
covered
come
under the
under
ECBC or ENS.
Okay, okay, okay. But
Okay.
that star rating is quite old, right?
Yes, this is quite old. It has been brought under the scope of this EEB cell. That's the reason
Okay.
for the name. Yeah, thank you.